The plasma round missed Commander Elena Vasquez by 3 inches as she dove behind the shattered console. Her heart hammered against her ribs while alien shrieks filled the corridors of the diplomatic vessel Horizon. This was supposed to be a peace mission. The Velthari Empire had requested human presence on their homeworld for the first time in 40 years of cold relations. Now her crew lay scattered across the ship, and the Velthari boarding party moved closer with every passing second. She pressed her back against the metal and checked her sidearm. 6 rounds. 12 hostiles confirmed. The math was brutal. A transmission crackled through her earpiece. Lieutenant Marcus Cole's voice cut through the static. "Commander, they're not trying to kill us. They're herding us toward the lower decks." Elena's blood ran cold. The lower decks held the civilian quarters, the families, the children. She broke from cover and sprinted down the corridor. Her boots pounded against the grated floor as she rounded corner after corner. The Velthari soldiers she encountered seemed almost surprised to see her moving against their formation. They fired, but their shots went wide. Too wide. Marcus was right. They wanted something specific. She reached the civilian section and found chaos. Families huddled in doorways. Security officer Nina Reyes had formed a barricade with overturned tables, her weapon trained on the sealed blast door at the far end. "They stopped pushing," Nina reported without looking away from her target. "Just stopped. Been quiet for 3 minutes." Elena moved to the front of the barricade. Through the small viewport in the blast door, she could see Velthari soldiers standing in formation.
"Not attacking. Waiting."
Then the soldiers parted, and a figure emerged that made Elena's breath catch, the Velthari queen herself. Empress Cathara, ruler of 17 star systems, walked toward the door with her forearms folded across her thorax. Her compound eyes reflected the harsh ship lighting like 1,000 tiny mirrors.
The blast door hissed open.
Elena raised her weapon. Cathara ignored the gun entirely. Her gaze swept across the room, scanning each human face with an intensity that felt almost physical. Then she stopped. Her entire massive body went rigid. She was staring at the children's corner, specifically at 6-year-old Maya Chen Williams, who clutched her younger brother Danny with trembling arms. Their mother, Dr. Samantha Williams, had married a human man after a Velthari exchange program 20 years ago. The children were fully human by any genetic measure, but something about them had frozen the most powerful being in the sector. Cathara spoke, and her translators rendered the words in a whisper that somehow filled the entire room. "Impossible." The bond signature. They carry it. Elena kept her weapon raised. "Carry what?" The queen's eyes never left the children. "They carry the echo of my daughter." The room fell absolutely silent. The Velthari queen took 3 steps forward, and every weapon in the room tracked her movement. She seemed not to notice. Her attention remained fixed on Maya and Danny, who pressed themselves deeper against the wall.
Dr. Williams pushed forward through the barricade, her face pale but determined.
"What are you talking about? These are my children. Human children. They have nothing to do with your species." Cathara finally turned to face her. The queen's massive form cast a shadow that swallowed the doctor whole. "Husband," Cathara said slowly. "The man you married. Where did he come from?" Samantha's voice wavered. "He was raised on the colony ship Perseverance. His parents were among the first settlers from Earth's Pacific region." "Why does that matter?" The queen's forearms began to tremble. It was the first sign of emotion anyone had ever witnessed from her in decades of diplomatic encounters. 43 years ago, my daughter Velithis broke the most sacred law of our empire. She bonded with a human. Not physically. Our species cannot reproduce that way. But the Velthari have another form of connection. A soul bond. We can share our life essence with another being. It changes them at the cellular level. It passes through generations. Elena lowered her weapon slightly. "You're saying her husband is descended from someone your daughter bonded with? I am saying he carries my daughter's essence within him, and through him, so do these children." Cathara's voice broke on the last word. "Velithis was executed for her crime. I ordered it myself. I had no choice. The law demanded it. But before she died, she told me she had hidden her bond partner among the humans. She said one day I would understand why she made her choice." The queen dropped to her 4 knees. The movement sent shockwaves through the Velthari soldiers behind her. Several of them looked at each other in visible alarm. Their empress had never knelt before any being in recorded history. "I hunted for 40 years, Cathara continued. "I searched every human vessel, every colony, every station that passed through our space. I never found a trace. I began to believe she had lied to spare me from further grief. Maya released her brother and took a single step forward. Her small voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Are you sad?" The queen's compound eyes locked onto the child. "Yes, I am sad. My grandmother says sad people need hugs." Before anyone could move, Maya walked across the open space between the barricade and the alien empress. Danny scrambled after his sister, grabbing her hand. Together, they approached the kneeling queen. "Wait," Elena started, but Samantha grabbed her arm. "Look at her," Samantha whispered. "Really look." Elena watched as the children reached Cathara. The queen's entire body had begun to glow with a faint blue light. The same light emanated from Maya and Danny's skin, barely visible but unmistakably present. Maya reached up and placed her small hand on the queen's lower arm. The blue light intensified, spreading between them like electricity. Cathara made a sound no human had ever heard from a Valthari. It was something between a cry and a song, ancient and broken and overwhelmingly raw. "She lives," the queen whispered. "In them, she still lives." The Valthari soldiers began lowering their weapons one by one. The rigid military formation dissolved as they watched their empress embrace two human children with all four arms, the blue light now blazing bright enough to illuminate the entire room. Commander Vasquez looked at her crew, at the families they had been prepared to die protecting, at the alien monarch who had invaded their ship seeking something no one could have predicted. "What happens now?" Elena asked. Cathara rose slowly, keeping one hand on each child's shoulder. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of an empire shifting course. "Now everything changes. These children are of my blood by bond, if not by birth. They are heirs to the Valthari throne by laws older than the ones that took my daughter from me." "That's insane," Nina said from behind the barricade. "They're human children. They belong with humanity." "They belong to both," Cathara replied, "and that is precisely why everything changes. For 40 years our peoples have remained apart, cold, suspicious. But my daughter saw something I refused to see. Humans carry something within them that calls to us, something that makes the soul bond possible when it should be impossible between species." She looked down at Maya, who still hadn't removed her hand from the queen's arm. "What is your name, child?" "This is my brother Danny." "That word means nothing in my language, but from this moment it will mean everything." Cathara turned to face Elena directly. "Commander, I came to your ship expecting to find a trace, a hint, something small I could cling to in my grief. Instead, I found my daughter's legacy living and breathing and asking if I needed comfort." Elena straightened. "Your soldiers fired on my crew. Non-lethal rounds. My orders were explicit. We needed to create confusion, to scan each human without interference. I could not risk announcing my true purpose. The factions within my empire who demanded my daughter's execution still hold power. If they had known what I sought, they would have destroyed this ship before I could board it. And now? What happens when those factions learn what you found?" The queen's eyes seemed to harden. "They will learn that I am still their empress. And they will learn that the children of Velithis are under my protection. The full might of 17 star systems stands behind that protection." Samantha stepped forward, her expression caught between wonder and fear. "My children aren't pawns for your politics. They have a life, a home. They don't even know what's happening right now. I understand your fear, mother of my grandchildren." The term sent visible ripples of shock through both human and Velthari observers. "I do not wish to take them from you. I wish to give them something no human has ever received. Full citizenship in the Velthari Empire. Access to our knowledge, our technology, our star charts that remain hidden from your species. And most importantly, I wish to give them the truth about what they are. What are we?" Cathara lowered herself again until her eyes were level with the child's. "You are bridges, little one. Your great-grandmother chose your great-grandfather because she believed that one day our peoples would need a way to connect. She gave her life for that belief, and now you carry her hope within your very cells." Danny finally spoke, his small voice steady despite the tears on his cheeks. "That's a lot of responsibility." Something that might have been a smile crossed the queen's alien features. "Yes, it is, but you will not carry it alone. I will make certain of that." Commander Vasquez holstered her weapon and stepped forward. "This is going to cause chaos. Both our governments are going to have questions that could take decades to answer. Then we begin answering them today." Cathara rose to her full height, starting with a full disclosure to both the human coalition and the Velthari Council. "I will transmit the truth to every corner of my empire before the day ends. Let the factions come. Let them challenge me. They will find that an empress with something to protect is far more dangerous than one with nothing left to lose." She turned to her soldiers and spoke in her native tongue. The translators conveyed enough for Elena to understand. The Queen was ordering a full withdrawal from the ship, a formal apology to be transmitted to human authorities, and an immediate summit request between both species leaders. As the Velthari began to file out, Cathara paused at the blast door. "Commander Vasquez, I attacked your vessel. I terrified your people. These actions demand consequences by your laws." "Yes, they do. Then let the consequence be this. I offer myself as a hostage of good faith. I will remain on your ship, under your guard, until the summit concludes. My empire will know that I trust humans with my life. That trust must begin somewhere." Elena exchanged glances with her crew. She saw fear, confusion, and something else. Something like the beginning of hope. "All right," she said finally. "But you're sleeping in the cargo bay. The guest quarters aren't designed for someone your size." Cathara made that strange sound again. This time it was clearly laughter. "Acceptable terms, Commander." As the Queen moved to follow her soldiers, Maya broke free from her mother and ran after her. She grabbed Cathara's lower arm and held on. "Will you tell us stories?" "About her? About our other grandmother?" The Queen went still. When she spoke, her voice carried a tenderness that seemed impossible from a being who commanded fleets and ended worlds. "I will tell you everything, little bridge. Every story I remember. Every moment we shared. Every dream she had for the future she never lived to see. Promise?" "I promise on 17 stars and the void between them." Maya nodded solemnly, then released her grip and returned to her mother's arms. Cathara watched her go, and for just a moment the reflection in her compound eyes looked almost human. News of the Horizon incident spread through both civilizations like wildfire through dry grass. Within 12 hours, humanity knew that 2 children in deep space had somehow become heirs to an alien empire. Within 24 hours, protests erupted on a dozen human worlds. Some demanded the children be protected at all costs. Others demanded they be examined, tested, and kept far from alien influence. A vocal minority called for their exile entirely, fearing what the Velthari bond might mean for human purity. Commander Vasquez watched the feeds from her quarters while the Queen sat cross-legged on the floor behind her. Despite the chaos, neither had slept. "Your people fear us," Cathara observed. "Even now, even with the truth laid bare. Some of them fear everything different. It's an old problem." Elena turned from the screens. "What about your people? What are the feeds from Velthari space showing? Division. The traditionalist faction has already called for my removal. They claim I have gone mad with grief, that I see my daughter's ghost in human children, and shame our entire species with my weakness." The Queen's voice remained steady, but her hands had tightened into fists. "The expansionist faction supports me, but for the wrong reasons. They see the children as tools, leverage to demand more from human territory. And what do you see?" Cathara was silent for a long moment. "I see 2 children who will never live normal lives again because of choices made before they were born. I see my daughter's hope given form. And I see a chance that we might finally stop circling each other like predators waiting to strike." A knock interrupted them. Nina entered with a data tablet in hand. "Commander, we've got incoming. 12 Velthari warships just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. They're not responding to standard hails." Cathara stood immediately. The traditionalists moved faster than I anticipated. "Show me their formation." Nina handed over the tablet. The Queen studied it with all her eyes, her body growing more tense with each passing second. "This is Fleet Commander Tharvex. He was my daughter's executioner. I promoted him afterward as tradition demanded." Her voice had gone flat and cold. "He has clearly decided that tradition now demands my execution as well. Can we outrun them?" "In this vessel? No. They will intercept us within 3 hours."
Elena felt her stomach drop.
"Options? 1. We transmit everything to both governments immediately. Every recording from this ship, every word I have spoken, every image of the children and the bond light. We make it impossible for Tharvex to claim ignorance or frame a different narrative. He'll still kill us, yes, but he will do so in front of the entire galaxy, and the children's parents can take them to the escape pods. Your shuttle systems are small enough to evade their targeting arrays if launched in the right window."
Elena grabbed the Queen's arm.
"You're talking about dying. I am talking about ensuring that my death accomplishes what my life never could. If I die protecting human children who carry Velthari essence, the traditionalists lose their argument forever. The Empire will see that the bond is real. that it survived execution and 40 years of hunting, that it found a way to persist despite everything done to destroy it. That is worth my life. And if I refuse to let you sacrifice yourself? Kithara's eyes met hers. Then we all die together, and the traditionalists control the narrative. They will claim I attacked a human ship in madness. They will claim the children were a delusion. Nothing changes. The Cold War continues until it becomes a hot one. Dr. Williams appeared in the doorway with Maya and Danny clinging to her sides. "We heard," she said. "The kids heard. I couldn't shield them." Maya stepped forward. Her small face was pale but determined in a way that made her look far older than 6. "You're not going to die," she said to the Queen. "Little Bridge, sometimes adults, must make hard choices to protect what matters." "No." Maya's voice rang with strange certainty. "Danny and I won't let you. We can feel it. The blue light. It's not just in us. It's connecting us. To you. To something bigger." Danny nodded, his eyes wide but focused. "When we touch you, we can feel more of it. Like there's a door we haven't opened yet." Kythara's breath caught audibly.
You feel the bond network?
Even full-blooded Velthari must train for decades to sense the network. "What network?" Elena demanded. "The soul bonds create connections," the Queen explained rapidly. "Each bond links to others who have bonded. Across our empire, across generations, a web of consciousness that allows us to share thoughts, feelings, experiences across vast distances. It is our greatest secret, our greatest weapon, and our greatest vulnerability." She knelt before the children. "If you can sense the network, you might be able to do something no human has ever done. You might be able to speak directly to the Velthari people. All of them. At once. Tell them what? The truth. Not from me, not from your mother, not from any authority figure they have reason to distrust. From you. 2 children with nothing to gain and everything to lose. Children who should not exist and yet stand here proving that the impossible can happen." Maya looked at Danny. Some communication passed between them that needed no words. "Show us how," she said. "What happened next would be debated by scientists and philosophers for generations." The Queen guided the children through a meditation technique that normally took years to master. Within minutes, Maya and Danny achieved a state of connection that Velthari elders spent lifetimes pursuing. The blue light returned. Stronger than before, it spread from the children to the Queen, from the Queen to the walls of the ship itself. The metal seemed to hum with resonance. And then, across 17 star systems, every Velthari with an active bond connection experienced something unprecedented. They saw through the eyes of 2 human children. They felt the fear and hope and fierce determination in hearts that should have been alien but somehow felt like family. Maya's voice echoed through the network, amplified by billions of joined minds. "We didn't ask for this. We don't understand most of it, but we know one thing. The Queen is our grandmother now, and you don't hurt family. Not ours. Not yours. If you come to hurt her, you hurt us. And we're just kids who wanted to go on a space trip and see cool things." Danny's voice joined his sister's. "She's really sad. She lost her daughter a long time ago. And now she found us, and she's less sad. Isn't that what everyone wants? To be less sad? Why would you want to take that away?" The connection held for exactly 47 seconds. And then it faded, leaving Maya and Danny slumped against the Queen, exhausted but unharmed. Elena checked the tactical display. The 12 warships had stopped advancing. "What's happening? Why did they stop?" Kithara's voice shook. "Because Fleet Commander Tharvex is receiving the same transmission I am? From his homeworld. From the Council itself." She showed Elena the message. "Stand down. Return to base. New orders forthcoming." The children spoke. The Empire heard. "This changes everything." Tharvex's fleet hung motionless in space for another hour. Then, one by one, the warships turned and jumped back into hyperspace. The traditionalist coup had ended before it truly began. In the aftermath, Kithara remained on the horizon as she had promised. The summit convened 3 weeks later at a neutral station, but the real negotiations had already happened in the hearts and minds of billions who had experienced those 47 seconds of shared consciousness. Maya and Danny became the most famous children in 2 civilizations. They handled it with remarkable grace, largely because their mother refused to let fame change their daily routines. They still had homework, they still had bedtimes, they still argued over whose turn it was to pick the entertainment. But every few weeks Kithara would visit. She would tell them stories about their bond grandmother Velithis. She would teach them the history of an empire that now considered them royalty, and she would sit with them in comfortable silence, the blue light glowing faintly between them, proof that some bonds truly could survive anything. Commander Vasquez received a promotion and a new ship. She named it the Veli Thys, with the Queen's blessing. And somewhere across the vast darkness between stars, two species that had spent 4 years preparing for war began the long, difficult, hopeful work of learning to be neighbors instead of enemies. All because an alien queen reacted to grandchildren she never expected to find, and 2 children offered a hug to someone who looked sad. The universe, as it turned out, had a sense of poetry after all.